Good morning. We spend most of our lives working. That's not a bad thing, it's a beautiful thing. Because our work is where we bring our ideas to life, where we challenge ourselves, where we create meaning. But too many of us treat our careers like a ladder, something we climb step by step, higher and higher, until sometimes we look down and realize we've climbed the wrong building. Managing your career the right way isn't about chasing titles or ticking boxes. It's about understanding who you are, what you stand for, and where you bring the most value. When it comes to building a meaningful career, most people start with the wrong question. They ask, what should I do? Or what's next for me? Some even ask, where can I make the most money? Or which company has the best perks? And while these questions might seem logical on the surface, they often lead people down paths that are misaligned with who they really are. The right question, the one that unlocks clarity and direction, is not what, where, or how. The right question is why. Why do you get out of bed in the morning? Why do you care about the work you do? Why does it matter to you? These are not philosophical musings. These are the foundation of a fulfilling and sustainable career. Because when you start with why, you don't just look for a job, you look for a mission. You don't just want to be busy, you want to be useful. And that distinction makes all the difference. Starting with why is about discovering your internal drive. It's not about external validation or checking the boxes of what success should look like. It's about identifying the thread that connects your story, your values, your strengths, your experiences, and your impact. Everyone has a unique why, but most people never take the time to find it. They're too focused on chasing the next thing, on comparing themselves to others, on keeping up with the pace of a world that praises speed over depth. But when you pause and dig into your why, something powerful happens. Your decisions become clearer. You begin to notice which opportunities feel aligned and which feel like distraction. You stop chasing every shiny object and you start moving with purpose. People who lead their careers with why are not necessarily the most talented or the most connected, but they are often the most grounded. They operate from a place of conviction, not confusion. And that makes them magnetic. Others want to follow people who know where they're going and why they're going there. Your why is not about what you do, it's about the reason you do it. You might be a designer, a teacher, a developer, a manager, but the deeper question is, why do you choose to express your energy and skills in that way? Maybe you're driven by a desire to help people grow. Maybe you're inspired to solve problems others avoid. Maybe you light up when you see someone feel heard or understood. The role you play is just a vehicle. Your why is the fuel, and that fuel sustains you, especially in the hard seasons. Because let's be honest, no career path is linear, and none of them are easy. There will be setbacks, failures, moments of doubt. If you don't know your why, those moments will shake you. But if you do, they won't break you. You'll have something deeper to hold on to. You'll know that your work isn't just about a promotion or a pat on the back. It's about something bigger. Something that still matters even when things aren't perfect. When you lead with why, you also attract the right opportunities, not because you're aggressively networking or shouting your accomplishments from the rooftops, but because people sense clarity. When you're clear on your values and your purpose, it shows. You speak with more confidence, not because you have all the answers, but because you're rooted in something real. And in a world full of noise, that kind of clarity cuts through. The truth is, we've been taught to focus on the wrong metrics. We've been taught to build resumes, not legacies. We've been told to find security instead of meaning. But those who manage their careers in the right way know that true success doesn't come from fitting in, it comes from standing out. And standing out doesn't mean being louder, it means being truer. It means aligning your work with your why, even if it looks different than what others expect. It's not always easy. Sometimes following your why means making bold decisions, leaving jobs that look good on paper but feel wrong in your gut. Saying no to paths that are safe but don't light you up. Sometimes it means starting over, or stepping into uncertainty, or risking short-term loss for long-term alignment. But those are the kinds of choices that lead to deep satisfaction. Not the kind of satisfaction that comes from applause, but the kind that comes from integrity. From knowing you're living and working in a way that actually means something to you. And if you haven't found your why yet, that's okay. It's not about having one epiphany. It's about paying attention. Notice the moments when you feel alive. Notice the kind of problems you can't stop thinking about. Notice the impact that moves you the most. Your why is already inside you. It's not something you invent, it's something you uncover. It's the thread that has been quietly running through your story all along. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And once you act on it, your career will never be the same. We're often told to follow our passion, as if that's the ultimate career advice, the golden ticket to fulfillment and success. But the truth is, passion can be misleading. It can burn bright for a moment and fade just as quickly. It can be loud and exciting, but not necessarily stable or sustainable. Passion tends to be romanticized, dressed up as a singular life-defining pursuit. But real careers, real journeys are not always driven by fireworks. They're shaped by something quieter, more consistent, and more powerful. Curiosity. Curiosity doesn't always shout. It whispers. It shows up as a question you can't stop thinking about, a subject you find yourself researching late at night, a conversation that sparks something inside you. It's not flashy, it's not always clear, but it pulls you forward, one step at a time. Where passion demands a leap, curiosity invites exploration. And that's what makes it so important when managing your career. Passion wants to know the destination. Curiosity just wants to see what's around the next corner. People often feel stuck because they think they haven't found their passion yet, as if it's hiding somewhere waiting to be discovered, fully formed. But what if the problem isn't a lack of passion? What if the problem is we're ignoring the small signals of curiosity because we don't think they're big enough, because they don't look impressive on a LinkedIn bio or fit neatly into a 5-year plan? The reality is that passion often grows from curiosity, not the other way around. You get curious about something, you dive in, you learn, you experiment, and over time that interest can deepen into something more meaningful. It's not a lightning strike, it's a slow burn. Curiosity keeps you moving. It makes you adaptable. When things change, and they always do, curiosity helps you shift gears, explore new roles, and pivot with intention. Passion can lock you in, making you feel like you have to stay the course even when something feels off. But curiosity frees you. It says, try this, explore that, ask questions, make mistakes, see what happens. And that mindset is essential in today's world, where industries evolve rapidly, where jobs come and go, where learning never really stops. Following curiosity also builds resilience, because when you're genuinely interested in something, setbacks don't feel like dead end. They feel like part of the process. You want to understand what went wrong. You want to improve. You want to keep going, not because you're trying to prove something, but because you actually care. Curiosity creates an internal engine that keeps you engaged even when the work gets hard, even when results take time. Passion can fizzle when things get tough. Curiosity leans in and says, there's more to learn here. Careers that are led by curiosity tend to be richer, more diverse, and more authentic. They're not built around one single identity or rigid goal. They're made up of seasons, experiments, and growth. You start somewhere, and along the way you discover things about yourself you didn't know. You realize you're good at something unexpected. You connect dots that others can't see. You build a path that's not a straight line, but a series of intentional steps, shaped by your evolving interests. That kind of career isn't just successful, it's alive. Another powerful thing about curiosity is that it creates connection. Curious people ask better questions. They listen more closely. They see beyond job titles and resumes. They're not just focused on what someone does. They want to know why they do it, how they got there, what excites them. And that curiosity builds relationships that are real, not transactional. In a world where everyone's networking for the next big thing, curious people stand out. They build trust, they learn faster, and they contribute more meaningfully to teams and cultures. Curiosity also leads to creativity. When you follow what fascinates you, you make unexpected links between ideas. You notice patterns. You challenge assumptions. Some of the most innovative careers, people who've launched new businesses, pioneered new fields, or reinvented themselves, started not with a grand vision, but with a simple question. What if we did this differently? Why does it have to work that way? How can I solve this in a way no one's tried before? That's curiosity at work. And it's the foundation of originality. There's another layer to this too. Following curiosity is more human. It gives you permission to not have it all figured out, to explore without needing certainty, to move forward without waiting for some perfect plan. It brings you back to that childlike mindset we all had once, the one that wanted to know how things work, that asked why over and over, that wasn't afraid to look silly in the pursuit of something interesting. Somewhere along the way, many of us lost that mindset. We traded curiosity for certainty, questions for answers. But we can get it back, and when we do, our careers become more than just a way to make a living. They become a way to keep learning, to stay awake, to stay inspired. You don't need a grand purpose or lifelong passion figured out. You need to notice what draws your attention, what energizes you, what leaves you wanting to know more. Follow that. Follow it even when it doesn't make sense yet. Follow it even when it doesn't seem profitable or practical. Curiosity will take you somewhere passion alone can't. Because curiosity doesn't demand that you already know. It just asks that you stay open to discovering. In a world obsessed with winning, we often treat our careers like a competition. Who got promoted first? Who's making more money? Who has the better title, the bigger office, the louder applause? It's tempting to measure our worth by comparing it to someone else's highlight reel. But this mindset sets us up for disappointment. Because even if you win today, someone will outpace you tomorrow. Even if you reach the top, someone will redefine what top means. That's the trap of the finite game. A game with fixed rules, known players, and a clear end. Careers don't work that way. Life doesn't work that way. The truth is, the right way to manage your career is to play the infinite game. The infinite game has no finish line. It's not about beating others. It's about staying in the game and playing it better over time. It's about growth, contribution, and longevity. In a finite game, you play to win. In an infinite game, you play to keep evolving. When you adopt that mindset, the way you make decisions starts to change. You stop asking, how do I get ahead right now? And you start asking, how do I build something that lasts? That shift in thinking changes everything. The people who thrive long-term are not necessarily the smartest, fastest, or most aggressive. They're the ones who think differently. They understand that short-term wins can be useful, but only if they support a longer-term mission. They aren't obsessed with being the best. They're committed to being better. Better than they were last year, better at serving their team, better at understanding themselves. That mindset keeps them going even when the results are slow, even when recognition doesn't come, even when the path forward isn't obvious. In an infinite game, you don't define success by one outcome. You define it by progress. That means making peace with the fact that not everything is going to work right away. You'll try things and they'll fail. You'll take risks that don't pay off. You'll go through seasons where nothing looks impressive from the outside, but if you're learning, adapting, and becoming more of who you're meant to be, you're still playing. That's what matters. One of the most powerful aspects of the infinite game is that it allows space for reinvention. In a finite game, if you're not winning, you feel like you're losing, but in the infinite game, you can change the rules. You can pivot. You can redefine what success means to you. You're not stuck. And the people who play the long game embrace reinvention, not as failure, but as maturity. They understand that identity isn't static. Your purpose can deepen, your focus can shift. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. The infinite mindset also affects how you treat others. In a finite game, others are competitors. In an infinite game, they're collaborators. When you stop obsessing over winning, you start celebrating others. You learn from them, you share with them, you elevate them because you're not playing to crush anyone. You're playing to keep growing. And others are part of that journey. It creates a mindset of abundance, not scarcity. A mindset where someone else's win isn't your loss. It's proof that progress is possible. Leaders who embrace the infinite game build cultures that last. They don't lead through fear, pressure, or ego. They lead through vision, trust, and purpose. They invest in people even when it's inconvenient. They think beyond quarterly results and ask, what kind of impact are we having? What legacy are we building? That kind of leadership isn't always the loudest, but it's the most sustainable. And whether you're leading a team or just leading yourself, that same principle applies. Think bigger than the moment. Think longer than the next milestone. When you play the infinite game, you also begin to understand the value of patience. Real growth takes time. Mastery takes time. Reputation takes time. In a culture obsessed with speed, the infinite mindset gives you permission to slow down, to do it right, to build something real instead of chasing shortcuts. You realize that it's not about how fast you get there. It's about whether you're proud of how you got there and who you became along the way. Another key to the infinite game is purpose. Without purpose, you're just going through the motions. You might be busy, you might be productive, but it's not meaningful. Purpose gives your work direction. It anchors you when everything else changes. It reminds you why you started and what you're building toward. And when you're driven by purpose instead of pressure, you make better choices. You take better care of yourself. You avoid burnout because you're not sprinting to a finish line that doesn't exist. You're walking a path that matters. Careers built on the infinite game are resilient. They're not derailed by a single failure or defined by one moment of success. They're driven by intention, by values, by a commitment to keep showing up, keep improving, keep learning. You stop needing to prove yourself constantly because you know who you are and where you're going. You stop fearing failure because you understand it's part of the process. You stop trying to arrive and you start trying to contribute. The infinite game gives you freedom, freedom to define success on your terms, to grow at your pace, to build a career that's aligned with who you are, not just what the world expects. It allows you to live and work with integrity, with vision, and with the kind of confidence that doesn't need a scoreboard to feel real. The people around you shape your mindset, your habits, your beliefs, and ultimately the trajectory of your career. It's easy to think of success as a solo pursuit. Grit, talent, hard work. But no one climbs alone. Every breakthrough, every bold step, every reinvention is influenced by someone else. Whether it's a mentor, a teammate, a friend, or even a rival, the environment you place yourself in can either sharpen you or dull you. It's not just about having people around, it's about having the right people. You need people who challenge your thinking, not just echo your thoughts. People who aren't afraid to give you honest feedback even when it's uncomfortable. People who believe in your potential more than your current performance. The kind of people who see through your excuses and still show up, who remind you what you're capable of when you forget, who expect more from you, not because they're hard to please, but because they know what's inside you. These are the people who make you better, not just more successful, but wiser, deeper, more grounded. In any career, there will be moments where you feel stuck, unsure, overwhelmed, or even invisible. That's normal, but those moments become pivotal depending on who's beside you. The wrong crowd will pull you into comparison, gossip, or mediocrity. They'll encourage comfort over courage, safety over growth. But the right crowd? They'll push you to take the shot, make the leap, ask the questions, show up fully. They'll remind you that discomfort is a sign of growth, and that fear is often the threshold to the next version of yourself. It's easy to gravitate toward people who agree with us, affirm us, and keep things easy. But real growth often comes from those who challenge us respectfully. People who have different perspectives, who see blind spots we can't, who hold us accountable to our highest standard, not just our best day. These relationships require humility. They require you to be open to correction, willing to listen, willing to grow. But the return on that vulnerability is enormous. The people who make you better don't compete with you, they collaborate. They don't envy your wins, they celebrate them. They'll ask how you're really doing when things look fine from the outside. They'll call you out when your actions don't match your values. And they'll do it from a place of love, not judgment. These are the people who create safe spaces for you to be real, while still holding space for your growth. The people who make you better don't compete with you, they collaborate. They don't envy your wins, they celebrate them. They'll ask how you're really doing when things look fine from the outside. They'll call you out when your actions don't match your values. And they'll do it from a place of love, not judgment. These are the people who create safe spaces for you to be real while still holding space for your growth. Building this kind of circle doesn't happen by accident. You have to be intentional. Seek out mentors who've walked a few steps ahead. Look for peers who are deeply committed to their own growth. Connect with people whose energy inspires you, whose work ethic challenges you, whose values resonate with yours. Pay attention to how people make you feel after you spend time with them. Drained or motivated, smaller or stronger, scattered or focused. Your emotional reaction is a signal. Listen to it. And it works both ways. If you want to be surrounded by people who make you better, you also need to be someone who makes others better. Show up for others, celebrate their progress, offer encouragement when they doubt themselves, ask hard questions when they need to reflect. Be honest, be kind, be consistent. Relationships thrive on mutual growth, not one-sided validation. When you invest in others without expectation, you often receive more than you give. Sometimes making room for the right people means letting go of the wrong ones. That's hard. But not everyone is meant to walk every part of your journey with you. Some people belong to chapters you've already outgrown. It doesn't make them bad people, it just means their influence is no longer aligned with where you're going. Letting go of those dynamics creates space for the connections that will truly elevate you. It's not about cutting people off with arrogance, it's about honoring your values, your purpose, your peace. The quality of your circle matters more than the size. You don't need dozens of voices in your ear. You need a few people who truly get it, who want to see you win, not for their benefit, but for yours. Who are secure enough to challenge you without diminishing you. Who remind you of your purpose when you're caught up in performance. These people are rare, but when you find them, hold on tight. And remember that growth happens through connection. You can read all the books, take all the courses, master every technical skill, but without the right people around you, your development will hit a ceiling. The right people accelerate your growth not just through what they teach you, but through who they are. Their mindset becomes contagious. Their integrity sets the tone. Their consistency raises the bar. And just by being in their presence, you start to see what's possible. Managing your career the right way isn't just about strategy. It's about alignment. Aligning your environment with your goals, your circle with your calling, your influences with your values. Because you become like the people you spend the most time with. Their thinking rubs off. Their habits shape yours. Their energy becomes part of your atmosphere. Choose wisely, because the people around you are either building your future or blocking it. We often wait for someone else to set the tone, to inspire us, to create the culture we crave. We wait for a leader to show us how it's done, to speak the words we need to hear, to create the space we need to grow. But what if that leader never comes? What if the example you've been looking for is actually yours to set? Leadership isn't a title. It's not reserved for managers, CEOs, or those with years of experience. Leadership is a mindset, a decision, a commitment to show up with intention, with integrity, and with the courage to serve others in a way that leaves them better than you found them. Being the leader you wish you had starts with self-awareness. It means taking responsibility for how you show up every day, the energy you bring, the way you treat people, the standard you hold yourself to. It means holding yourself accountable to the kind of leader you would want to follow. Would you be inspired by someone who avoids hard conversations, who leads from ego instead of empathy? Or would you follow someone who listens more than they speak, who makes others feel seen and heard, who owns their mistakes and learns out loud? Leadership is built in the small moments. How you respond when things go wrong, how you support others when they're struggling, how you give credit and take blame. It's in the quiet choices when no one's watching, in the patience you show under pressure, in the way you treat the person who can't do anything for you. The leader you wish you had is consistent, not perfect. They're human, but they're committed. They don't have all the answers, but they ask the right questions. They show up even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. To be that kind of leader, you have to lead yourself first. That means knowing your values and living them. It means building trust by keeping your word, not just with others, but with yourself. It means showing up on time, staying curious, doing the work no one sees, and not needing applause to stay motivated. When you lead yourself well, you lead others better, because you're not trying to impress anyone, you're trying to make a difference. Real leaders don't create followers, they create more leaders. They elevate the people around them. They invite contribution. They see potential and speak to it. They build environments where people feel safe to take risks, to be honest, to bring their full selves to the table. You don't need permission to start doing that. You don't need a promotion or a bigger platform. You just need to decide to lead where you are, with what you have and the way you wish someone had done for you. So choose to be that leader, the one who listens deeply, acts with integrity, and leads with purpose. Don't wait for someone else to create the culture you crave or set the example you need. Be the model of the leadership you admire. Because when you lead with intention, others follow, not because they have to, but because they want to. And that's how real change begins, not from the top down, but from within, one bold, consistent choice at a time.